Prince Harry appears to have reached his breaking point. These are no longer mere whispers or baseless speculation, but a truly explosive situation threatening to shatter their seemingly fairy tale union. Meghan has unexpectedly vanished from public view, leaving Harry alone, and he, it seems, is no longer able to conceal the true state of affairs behind their closed doors. The real reason for these dramatic events will soon become public knowledge. Initially, they sought to build a new life, free from the burdensome royal rules and age-old traditions. They readily shared their version of the story. But what if this narrative was merely a beautifully woven tale, crafted for overly trusting hearts? In recent days, truly strange events have been unfolding in their marriage, which can no longer be ignored or silenced. Meghan hastily departed the Invictus Games, leaving Prince Harry alone. Yet the reason for her sudden exit raises many questions. The official explanation, citing their children, fails to resonate with the public, and it seems no one believes it. Behind the scenes, however, whispers suggest entirely different motives. Most strikingly, Prince Harry unexpectedly let slip what is truly happening in their relationship. Why did his face look so dejected and exhausted? Why did he so clearly avoid his wife's touch? And what exactly did he say at dinner that has now become the subject of fervent discussion worldwide? We will delve into why everything is inexorably heading towards an inevitable conclusion and what secrets Harry can no longer keep. Readers can anticipate information that will clarify this tangled story. The British royal family is not merely a monarchical institution, but a true theater where dramas unfold behind lavish curtains, enough to make even Hollywood's most talented screenwriters envious. On one side, centuries-old traditions, unyielding duty, strict rules, and meticulously crafted etiquette prevail. On the other, it's a battleground for scandals, intrigues, and a constant fight for public attention. And who is now at the very epicenter of this storm? Prince Harry and Meghan, of course. When they left the palace, their move seemed like an open challenge to the system. "We are us, they are them. We just want to be happy," echoed their devoted fans. However, as time passes, we no longer see a couple heroically fighting for freedom, but something entirely different. Prince Harry increasingly appears lost and desolate, while Meghan comes across as more calculating and pragmatic. And their joint media strategy, it must be acknowledged, is suffering significant setbacks. People no longer believe in their once ideal love story. But why? Everything seems too artificial, too staged. And most intriguingly, too many leaks suggest that behind closed doors, something far from genuine affection and love is taking place. Is their marital union as strong as they diligently try to portray to the public? Or is it merely a carefully orchestrated partnership where each participant expertly plays their role? History has repeatedly shown us examples of royal marriages dissolving, and it seems Harry and Meghan's marital alliance will be no exception to this sad rule. What alarming signals can no longer be ignored? Why have even their most devoted and loyal fans begun to harbor serious doubts about their relationship? The answers to these questions lie in the most intriguing and discussed part of this challenging story. Let's recall that infamous party where Prince Harry, in high spirits, persistently begged Meghan to sing a song. At the time, this episode seemed like nothing more than an amusing escapade from the life of an eccentric prince. However, as it later turned out, something far deeper and more troubling was hidden behind this seemingly innocent moment, potentially indicating serious problems in their relationship. It is claimed that on that fateful evening, Harry wasn't just cheerful or slightly excited. He was literally on the verge of an emotional breakdown, experiencing immense internal tension. Alcohol merely loosened his self-control, causing him to inadvertently blurt out things he would undoubtedly have preferred to keep silent about when sober. The words that escaped his lips prompted those present to exchange meaningful glances, filled with bewilderment and concern. Or to be more precise, he hinted at a complete lack of love in their relationship, which came as a shocking revelation to many. Some of the attendees chuckled, trying to hide their embarrassment. Some pretended not to hear, striving to avoid awkwardness. But there was also someone who carefully remembered every detail of that conversation, every careless word. And now, as this story resurfaces, it becomes abundantly clear. All is not as rosy and cloudless in Harry and Meghan's marriage as they try to present to the world. Rumors of discord within their royal family have been circulating for a long time, but this particular episode added a new, far more intimate and dramatic layer to the overall picture of their relationship, making many ponder the depth of their problems. Insiders close to the prince claim that during dinner with famous Canadian singer Michael Bublé, Harry unexpectedly started talking about his deep family problems. Allegedly, his voice conveyed not just ordinary fatigue, but open, unconcealed disappointment bordering on despair. He spoke candidly about how much his relationship with Meghan had changed, how sincerity, warmth, and the intimacy they once shared had irrevocably vanished. Imagine a situation where someone is next to you, but it feels like a mask hiding true feelings. When an unconcealed coldness emanates from them, and even the most desperate attempts to rekindle the former spark and warmth in the relationship yield no desired results, Harry's words are relayed by those familiar with his inner world and state. And if such conversations could once be dismissed as temporary difficulties or ordinary marital disagreements, the situation now appears far more serious and troubling. Recent footage from the Invictus Games in Canada became another reason for intense public discussion. Meghan tried her utmost to create an illusion of perfect happiness and harmony, but many viewers didn't buy into this carefully staged performance, sensing a falseness in her behavior. She literally clung to her husband. Her hands constantly sought to touch his shoulder, and her palms gently slid down his arm as if trying to grasp fading warmth. Her eyes conveyed a persistent search for a reciprocal glance, and it seemed she desperately tried to convince not only onlookers, but also herself of the steadfastness of their feelings. Harry, however, displayed a rather unusual reaction. He was slow to reciprocate these affections, seemingly experiencing a deep internal discomfort that permeated his outward composure. A smile touched his lips, but it lacked any trace of the carefree, genuine happiness that once sparkled so brightly in his eyes. Instead of former joy, his face showed fatigue, a barely perceptible tension and strain, creating the impression that he was merely fulfilling a prearranged part of some family contract dictated by his role. Some perceptive onlookers noticed that during the most significant moments, Harry didn't even try to hide his clear detachment. When Meghan leaned toward him, he almost imperceptibly, instinctively moved away. When she looked at him with unconcealed adoration, his gaze drifted away, avoiding direct contact, even in moments when they seemingly should have been in perfect harmony. An invisible but dense wall could be felt between them. She tried her hardest to create a flawless picture of an ideal marriage, but something clearly went wrong. Harry looked like he was playing someone else's game, one he'd long grown tired of, sadly commented eyewitnesses to this public drama. What truly lies behind this carefully constructed facade? Is it just a temporary crisis that will eventually resolve? Or is it a much more serious and profound rift? And if the prince is truly so unhappy, what forces keep him in this relationship? Perhaps the truth will emerge much sooner than we might expect. Meghan Markle's early departure from the Invictus Games sparked a wave of intense public discussion. The official explanation stated that the Duchess had urgently returned home to her children. However, this argument convinced hardly anyone. The public expected to see her alongside Harry for the entire duration of the Games, which was, after all, why she had traveled to Canada. Instead, her unexpected disappearance created the impression that the Duchess had literally fled, unwilling to stay with her husband a minute longer than circumstances required. Questions far outnumbered answers, and numerous media speculations immediately erupted. The first and most pragmatic version of events suggests Meghan's participation in the Games was strictly governed by specific contractual obligations. She appeared before numerous cameras, showcased the outward appearance of a happy marriage, and then departed, having fulfilled her part in this public spectacle. Her actions resembled a star performing their allotted minutes on stage before disappearing backstage. It's quite possible she never intended to stay longer than absolutely necessary to maintain the illusion of unity with Harry. A second version widely circulated points to a deep emotional factor. It's rumored that Duchess Meghan couldn't withstand the onslaught of public criticism. She has long faced public disapproval. But this time the stream of negative comments was particularly sharp and merciless. People openly discussed her outfits, her demonstrative ease with Harry, and her unconcealed desire to always be the center of attention, with a mix of curiosity and condemnation. However, instead of the anticipated glowing reviews, she met with an alienated reception, which may have deeply wounded her. The Duchess is accustomed to meticulously crafting her public image, but here it seems everything went completely off script. But the third version caused the most concern. A genuine conflict might have erupted backstage, so serious that its repercussions were impossible to conceal. Rumors suggest it wasn't just a loud argument, but perhaps something far more severe. Whispers of a physical altercation, of facial marks that even expert makeup couldn't hide. Everyone is free to choose the version they prefer. But one thing remains undeniable. Meghan disappeared, leaving Prince Harry alone, and now everyone can form their own opinion. However, the real shock wasn't Meghan's departure itself, but what happened a short time later. An evening at Il Caminetto restaurant marked a turning point in this tangled narrative. Prince Harry and Meghan were invited to dinner with famous Canadian singer Michael Bublé and his wife. At first glance, it was a typical social event, but according to eyewitnesses, events took an entirely different, unexpected turn. Prince Harry was evidently not in good spirits. Some claim he had too much to drink, others that he was simply overly agitated. In any case, alcohol dulled his caution, and he started talking. At first, it was minor complaints, accompanied by nervous laughter. But soon, shades of deep resentment entered the prince's voice. "I don't understand," he said, swirling his glass. "Why she acts so openly and uninhibitedly in public, but at home." He paused for a moment, as if weighing whether to continue. But intoxication, combined with long-held resentment, took over. "At home, she is sharp and unwelcoming, and there has been no intimacy for many months." These words, if indeed spoken, irrevocably shattered the painstakingly crafted image of a harmonious union. If previously there were only subtle hints of impending discord, barely perceptible cracks in their ideal facade, all doubts have now completely dissipated. What is unfolding before the public is no longer just a temporary crisis. It's a full-blown, irreversible rupture of all emotional ties that might once have bound them. Observers in the room reacted differently. Some awkwardly looked away, trying not to betray their confusion. Others allowed themselves a slight, barely noticeable smirk, but no one dared to quickly change the subject. The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly, filled with tension and unspoken thoughts. Harry spoke with outward composure, his voice calm, yet in every word, every intonation, deep, undisguised bitterness slipped through. It seemed he no longer saw any point in continuing this charade, in hiding the true state of affairs. Behind the carefully constructed facade of a happy marriage they had so long presented to the world lay a very different, far more complex and sad story. In this story, there was no room left for love or warmth. It was a narrative of one spouse desperately trying with their last strength to maintain a fragile illusion, while the other had completely lost the desire to participate. However, a natural question arises. If the situation has reached such a critical point, why do they remain together? Royal experts, closely monitoring every move of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, expressed serious doubts that a divorce is inevitable in the near future. The reason, in their opinion, isn't about fading or lingering feelings, but far more pragmatic considerations. Profit. A marital breakup, analysts believe, would mean the ultimate collapse of their carefully constructed personal brand, which brings them colossal income. Harry and Meghan have invested too much time and effort into building their media empire. They signed multi-million-dollar contracts, shaping and maintaining the image of a couple who broke free from the shackles of the traditional royal system, challenging it. But what would happen if they suddenly decided to separate? Who among them could remain sought after alone? Who could maintain the colossal income this joint duo brings them? Each, without a partner, would have to hastily seek an entirely new survival strategy, rebuilding their career and public image. Beyond financial aspects, a divorce would be a devastating blow to their reputation. They aimed to show the world they were not just a family, but a profound union founded on genuine love and a shared fight for justice. But if their marriage collapses, this entire carefully constructed concept will crumble to dust, leaving no trace. Instead of becoming symbols of a new era as they wished, they will turn into another tragic story of an elevated dream confronting harsh and relentless reality. And of course, the children cannot be ignored. Archie and Lilibet remain the only true link between the couple. They are trapped in a golden cage of mutual interests, shrewdly observes renowned royal analyst Richard Fitzwilliams. Their union long ceased to be just a personal life. It transformed into a complex business project. A divorce, therefore, would mean nothing less than the complete collapse of their carefully built brand. But how long can they maintain this delicate illusion of happiness, convincing not only the public but perhaps themselves? Or will the moment of truth, when all masks are dropped, arrive much sooner than they might plan? The public, holding its breath, waits, eager for new details and wanting to delve deeper into this convoluted story. And the Sussex's royal drama, it seems, is only gaining momentum, becoming increasingly tense. The situation Meghan Markle finds herself in appears more than alarming. For a woman accustomed to total control over her public image and reputation, what's happening is a nightmare. Her sudden disappearance from the Invictus Games, relentless mocking comments, and constant public attention that she can no longer fully control. Newspaper headlines like alarming beacons persistently signal growing chaos. Prince Harry's unusual, at times eccentric behavior, his unexpected and candid revelations, and increasingly clear hints of a potential crisis in their marital relationship, all of it seems to be inexorably slipping out of control, gaining its own momentum. For a long time, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex adhered to what seemed like an impeccable strategy: demonstrative silence, complete disregard for bothersome rumors, and of course, consistently positioning the press as the main antagonist. This time, however, contrary to all expectations, the usual plan seems to have severely faltered, and familiar methods have proven powerless. Meghan's intense gaze, captured during her visit to Canada, spoke louder than any words. It revealed undisguised tension, bordering on nervousness, excessive, almost demonstrative confidence, and a clear, even exaggerated desire to appear utterly happy. Observers wondered if their life truly were cloudless. Why put on such a show for the public? Why did every movement, every smile seem so artificial and strained? And most curiously, why did she need to leave the public eye so hastily and abruptly? A dual sensation arises. Either the situation has indeed completely spiraled out of control, plunging into an unpredictable vortex of events, or conversely, we are witnessing a sophisticated attempt to radically turn the situation around, following a meticulously pre-planned script. However, judging by the immediate and quite unambiguous reaction of the general public, it can be confidently stated: this latter scenario appears to have completely failed, unable to achieve the desired effect. Harry, tired, disappointed, and broken. Prince Harry has long ceased to resemble the energetic, self-assured man people once knew. Increasingly, opinions suggest he appears emotionally drained and exhausted to the public. In earlier times, he was known as a true rebel, boldly challenging entrenched royal traditions, one who dared to be his authentic self. Now, however, he gives the impression of a man trapped in a snare woven from his own, once bold, decisions. Over the past few months, his appearance has betrayed a deep sense of dejection. Every movement, facial expression, and his entire body language silently speaks volumes about his inner turmoil. During their appearance in Canada, his reactions seem sluggish, his gaze distant, as if lost in his own thoughts. Meghan appeared to constantly seek his attention, reaching out to him, but he showed no inclination to reciprocate. In moments when she tried to make them the undeniable center of public attention, He gave the impression of someone who would rather be anywhere else in the world than under the glare of the cameras. The bitter irony lies in the fact that it was Prince Harry himself who once consciously and independently chose this seemingly liberating path. Yet today, observing him, an agonizing question involuntarily arises. If he had the chance to turn back time, would he dare to make the same drastic choice again? What's happening behind closed doors? Any family crisis involves not only obvious public displays and signs, but, just as importantly, the hidden events unfolding behind the scenes, away from prying eyes. Rumors of a tense, at times suffocating, atmosphere within their home have circulated for quite some time. But recently, these whispers and speculations have taken on new, unsettling undertones. Some sources close to the situation even venture to claim that matters have progressed far beyond what one might imagine, crossing invisible boundaries. Thus, a multifaceted drama unfolds before us, one that can be envisioned through multiple scenarios. Lately, it's increasingly observed that Meghan and Harry spend time apart, each engrossed in their own affairs. He appears to be deeply contemplating his future path, while she is actively planning new media projects, seeking to expand her influence. However, there's a crucial nuance in this story that cannot be overlooked. Prince Harry is a man of deep emotions, an individual accustomed to fighting for his affections, for recognition, and for the values he holds dear. And if he ever feels there's nothing left to save in this marriage, that the fight has run its course, wouldn't he then take a decisive, perhaps abrupt step? While the vast majority remain convinced that a divorce for this couple is impossible, this very scenario could become the most unexpected and dramatic turn in their shared history, upending all predictions. A natural question arises: will Meghan be ready to accept such a decision and let her husband go? If Harry truly decides to take such a fundamental step, how will the Duchess of Sussex react? For her, this union represents far more than just a personal relationship. It is a powerful status, a recognizable brand, a continuous opportunity to remain at the pinnacle of public attention. She meticulously cultivated the image of a woman who seemingly rescued the prince from the metaphorical prison of the royal family, who helped him find his own voice and became his steadfast support and unshakable pillar in a new life. But what would happen if this carefully crafted image were to collapse overnight? Divorce is not merely a painful blow to one's personal life. It's a devastating strike to reputation, influence, and all established positions. How would the world perceive her if their seemingly unbreakable union were to fall apart? Her meticulously constructed narrative, her personal story, would lose its original meaning and integrity. She would no longer be able to play the role of savior, nor be an integral part of the romantic tale of a prince who once chose love, sacrificing everything for it. She is well aware of the scale of potential losses awaiting her in the event of a split. For this very reason, despite all the obvious signs of impending discord, the numerous rumors circulating in the press, and everything reported by insider sources, she persistently maintains the pretense that their relationship is perfectly fine and harmonious. However, the question arises, how long can she sustain this fragile illusion of well-being? Is there a hidden game afoot? There's another theory actively circulating among experts and analysts. It's possible Meghan is currently preparing for a new significant phase in her career. Her numerous contracts, extensive business connections, and carefully considered strategic positioning all indicate that she has no intention of remaining in the shadow of her husband, Prince Harry. Some believe she has long and meticulously been exploring various exit strategies, but is doing so incrementally, with utmost caution. A sudden and abrupt break with Harry at this moment appears to her as too risky a step, capable of causing irreparable damage. A far more sensible and far-sighted solution seems to be the slow and systematic creation of new connections, launching new projects, and establishing new levers of influence that will ensure her independence. Some experts even suggest that Meghan is currently testing the waters. She is carefully observing how readily the wider public is prepared to perceive her as an independent individual, separate from Prince Harry. She is meticulously analyzing how her personal brand operates under these new conditions. And if all these steps and experiments align as she wishes, it's quite possible that she will be the one to initiate the split, but not before she is entirely convinced of the clear benefit of such a decision for her future career and social standing. There is undoubtedly a certain advantage in such a turn of events. Harry, irrevocably at a crossroads. The most dramatic aspect of this entire complex saga is that Prince Harry finds himself in a situation where his path to retreat is simply cut off. He has, in essence, severed all ties with the royal family by publicly disclosing his personal experiences, deep grievances, and the internal struggles that tormented him. Even if, deep down, he realizes the error of his decisions, the question of his potential return remains unanswered, hanging in the air. Acquaintances from his former life are not quick to offer a helping hand. His august father is consumed by the urgent affairs of the monarchy, while his brother, Prince William, displays clear detachment and coldness. His circle of former friends has either completely turned away from him or prefers to keep their distance, unwilling to be drawn into this public chaos. Thus, he finds himself in a position where his only and seemingly last support remains his marriage to Meghan. This dependence perhaps explains his reluctance to take any hasty or ill-considered steps. However, a legitimate question arises. Can he endlessly suppress and contain his true feelings and emotions? The climax of this family drama, it seems, is not far off. It's becoming increasingly difficult to ignore the numerous signs, the abundance of leaked information, and the snippets of details that collectively point insistently to a single and troubling truth. Their marriage is on the brink. Now it's only a matter of guessing when one of the spouses will decide to take that first, decisive step towards an inevitable separation. Prince Harry and Meghan can, of course, continue to project an image of unity and ostensible well-being for as long as they wish. What awaits this couple next? The media relentlessly continues its investigations. The public eagerly anticipates another scandal, and this entire royal drama seems to be approaching its climactic act. They once left behind established royal conventions, seeking personal freedom. They convinced the world that their feelings and mutual love could transcend any tradition or formality. But what if all of it was merely an artfully crafted, beautiful legend intended solely for the public? Their shared story, once perceived as a bold challenge to an entrenched system, is now clearly unraveling, showing clear signs of collapse. How long will they manage to conceal the true state of affairs? Or are we truly on the verge of the most talked about and high-profile breakup of the current year?